recorded. Mahdi, the floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is, I'll go with the SCA name. I'm Jamal ibn Hakim. Go by my highest title being Mushir. I got to do that because I got to beat people up twice in two different crowns, so I got to actually serve as crown. I also have two peerages. I'm a Knight Society as of 1994, and I became a member of the Order of Defense in 2016. I've also served as Baron, landed Baron. I was Baron of the Steppes from 2004 to 2007. As far as my heraldic experience, I first took heraldic office in the Shire of Emerald Keep back in 1989. I am presently serving as Eclipse Herald in Ansteorra, which is the central region. I am officially warranted and in the office of Pursuivant Extraordinaire to the militant arm of the College of Heralds. This is as of AS 26. I was granted this by their Majesties King and Alicia. Militant arms members defend the precepts and usage of proper heraldry by force of arms. This does mean, for example, if I decide I see really ugly heraldry on a particular field, I am willing to sit there and actually bring out my little heraldic trumpet, and I will go onto the field and I will beat up people. Granted, I will sit there and suggest how they can actually improve the heraldry, but some people have to be hit with sticks to sit there and actually be improved. Lastly, I have been a ceremonial herald for both royal courts and for baronial courts. I'll give more details of either of those should we have enough time at the end of the presentation. For now, I want to actually present, and if let's see, since I've got this thing, let me get myself back on my Zoom thing. I can simply show slides, right? Like share my screen. I'm going to assume I can. Okay, share. Not that one, dog. Let's try this one. Okay. And that's the one I want. Thank you. Okay. Go back to where and here we are. And I'll sit there and just make this thing what I want it to be. There we go. I got the thing on my face. Okay. Please consider that what I'll be actually presenting is very much in the service track. When you're performing as a herald for various events, you are serving the kingdom. Purpose of this presentation is presenting expectation and logistics of organizing the various voice heraldic activities that we actually see performed at SCA events. I'm going to start off with some of the myths and misconceptions that people tend to have about voice heraldry. For example, organizing heraldic activities is easy. We just tell people to show up and just tell them to yell. Heraldic activities will take care of themselves. We don't have to be concerned about getting people organized. We'll wait till the event is actually on. You can wait to find people to help you out to do these jobs at the last minute, and you can always count on enough people to help you out at events. Every one of these are myths that will have you pulling your hair out at events. It can also help undercut the enjoyment we actually have at events. As for the reality, as a local herald, you can be involved in you can be involved in this before, during, and after an event. I had been instructed, or actually not instructed, I've been taught by a friend years ago, okay, that one of the biggest problems we have in terms of dealing with our heraldry is the presumption that this stuff is easy. Also, there's presumption that if you're a branch herald, that you will be in charge of the heraldic activity at your events. Okay? This is without question. The truth of this is branch heralds are required to coordinate heraldic activities. Okay, if voice heraldry is not your strong suit, you're not required to actually take on that particular role. However, it is important that you be involved in organizing these particular functions. Before an event actually takes place, The branch herald or any interested herald should assist the event's autocrat in determining who is going to be the herald in charge for the event. When we consider the three major voice activities that take place at events, it is imperative that you have a herald in charge of that event, somebody who can oversee the responsibilities throughout the entirety of that event. Now, if you're a local herald and you choose to accept that responsibility, treat this as if you're the autocrat at the event. Volunteer to do the job of herald in charge, but try to avoid doing any other jobs, because everything you're going to need to do for herald in charge is going to take up all the time of the event. Okay. Also, think as if you're an autocrat. Autocrats have backups. If something were to happen to them, they had a car breakdown, they had a family emergency, somebody would still go to the event and they would run it. If you're the herald in charge, you should take the same responsibilities. When you consider what you actually want to do, what you have set up, find somebody who can actually back you up so that if you have the emergency, the unforeseen, somebody can still help out the event at the last minute, and somebody will not be overwhelmed by everything that takes place. Before the event takes place, you should have developed a list of supplies necessary to complete all of the functions. This again is part of the misconception about being herald. They think you show up and then all supplies are going to be there just because the event is taking place. If you don't tell the people what you need, there's no guarantee it's going to be there. Again, develop the list and then secure these supplies well in advance of the event. When we consider the voice heraldry needs at events, they fit into three categories: site, list, and ceremonial. There have been a good number of ceremonial heraldry discussions today. Great. I made sure when I did this presentation that I wanted to cover the things that are going to be important throughout the day, but that don't get they don't get all that much attention. Consider first site heraldry. Another way to think about this is you're the news service for the event. The autocrat will have printed up a schedule. The schedule will tell you what is going to take place. What it won't tell you is anything that's taking place and any change that have actually taken place since they printed this thing out. Okay. If you're going to be the person in charge of site heraldry, okay, prepare to be the contact person. There's going to be the person that anybody's going to act as site herald is going to check in with you on a regular basis to determine what is going to be announced to the event. Okay. Also, you're the person that everybody on site knows. If you want information passed out, come to you. This does include the crown and landed nobility, anybody who is, or the autocrat, any of these people who need to know, need information passed out, they need to know where you are so that you can organize how the information is going to be spread out. If you're going to be in charge of site heraldry, okay, you should plan on how this stuff is going to be, how it's going to be passed out days or weeks before the event takes place. Any information that you give to site heralds should have the same message so there's no confusion on site as to what is actually taking place. Okay. If something is taking place, for example, list is going to take place, people should know what time the list is going to be, where it's going to take place, and that information, if it changes, should be clearly changed for anybody who's going to act as your site herald. If you're organizing site heraldry, okay, understand the basic supplies you're going to need are notebooks and pencils or pens, things to write with. I put asterisks on things that the exceptional herald will make sure that they have these available. For example, you should actually have a map of the site. That way you can take a look at where some of your big trouble areas are going to be in terms of making announcements. You should have a volunteer sign-up sheet. This helps you thank people properly after the event is over. Okay, that great time in court when they have some people come up and say, hey, here's people who do great things. Your volunteer sign-up sheet lets you say something other than, and a good number of people who screamed. Giving people actual name credit is a little bit better than saying you're just part of the mob. And if you have a group, you've got enough money, see if you can get them to pay for heraldic sashes, because you want your site heralds clearly identifiable. Okay, not just anybody who can just walk around, start screaming. You want them to know that, hey, this is the person acting as herald on the site for this group. When you're organizing your information for site heraldry, okay, any activity cancellations, any directives, for example, to move cars, if there's anything with safety, that should be at the top of the list of anything that's being announced at a particular time. It's just the way people process information when you're announcing things as you're walking around site. When you first get their attention, first couple things they hear, they'll pay more attention to. The longer you talk, the less they'll be paying that much attention. So since things like activities changing, or if there's some type of emergency, make that first thing you actually announce. If you are going to organize what things are going to be announced, chronologically makes sense, but also announcing things in terms of the areas they take place is also another way. In either case, it is up to you to decide how you want to organize the information that's going to be passed out. It's just a judgment call. Can't say there's any right or wrong, just as long as the information is passed out and understood. If you are in charge of site heraldry, you should have a good idea of what paths are going to be taken by the people doing the job for you. These paths should be safe, public, and easily accessible. You're doing this out of consideration for any number of people who are going to volunteer for you who might have mobility issues. Okay? You don't want people traipsing over massively broken ground unless you've got somebody who's fit enough to go over said massively broken ground to actually get the people to make announcements. Okay? A real good practice, if you're coordinating herald, is for you to, having seen the map, you physically walk the grounds before the event to get an idea in general of how long it takes to actually get from point A to point B. One of the keys, and I'll get into it a little bit later, one of your keys for getting information to people well enough is knowing how much time it's going to take for somebody to go from where they get the information from you to going out and making their call to coming back to you to get new information. Okay, that has to be a reasonable amount of time for all parties concerned. Okay. And take special note when you're going to sites for areas that have environmental issues that may make it a little bit more hazardous for some people to walk the areas. Okay, this is just consideration for those who are going to be working for you. Any information that you give the people with site heraldry has to get to them early enough so that they can actually use it. If you are crying the camp and you're telling them a list is about to start, if they're at a portion of the camp that's 15 minutes away from the list field and you're getting to them with 10 minutes left to go, they're not being served well. Okay? That announcement of when the list is going to start should get to them in enough time for them to get their stuff on, their equipment, get the equipment they need, and get down to be able to participate and enjoy themselves. Keep in mind that when you're acting as site herald, that a lot of people don't keep track of time when they're at events. Okay, as much as we love to say, look down at your wrist, most people don't really wear their watches. Sometimes they carry their phones, that's cool. But way too often in the SCA, we are depending upon somebody to yell something and let us know when it's getting started. Okay? With that in mind, take into account when you're figuring out how long it's going to take for people to get from point A to point B to make your announcements. If you're doing an exceptional job, you're going to factor in how much time it takes for you to get from where they're getting the announcement to where they're going to start making their cries, and then how long it's going to take for them to get back to you. You also have to take into account how much time it's going to take to make corrections and organize any changes, and changes are going to occur. Okay. A general rule of thumb is 10 minutes. but just take into account, you're the news service. When things change up, you've got to be prepared to send out the next group to actually update everybody. If you're sending people out to do sight, okay, ask them to speak in clear, articulate, simple language. This is a great time once you send them out, if you can take time to listen to some people actually explain what's going on. If you find that they talk at far too fast a clip, you can teach them to speak slower. Okay. They have to understand that when they're making announcements to camp, they're doing it from a distance. Somebody may not be able to hear everything they're saying and may be facing the wrong direction. They can do the best job they can in terms of projecting, but have emphasized they should be doing it clearly enough so that people can actually hear what they're saying. If they're making announcements, encourage them to not shatter whatever medieval ambience is taking place. A lot of stories people have about the SCA, okay, will go back to when they heard what the herald was saying. Okay, when it takes them back to that feeling of Middle Ages or Renaissance, as opposed to something that sounds like 1930 or 1940s disc jockey, okay, something that will pull them out of the moment. Okay, that we're contrary to what we really want for our group. Lastly, if you're going to send heralds out, encourage them to make an attempt at basic garb. Even if you might be considered emergency, you need somebody to do something right off the bat. The fact is that heralds are also part of the armaments of the event. If somebody's running around in a t-shirt and blue jeans making their announcement, it pulls people out of the event. Okay, if you got to throw a simple T-tunic on them and send them out, you can do that. But ask your heralds to do that. Make a reasonable attempt at garb. Another important aspect of voice heraldry is the list heraldry. This is where people act as fight announcers. Okay, if you're the herald in charge of an event, okay, if you can't serve this function yourself, you want to make sure you have somebody who can act as a head list herald. Notice I'm giving you two jobs here already. You got somebody in charge of sight announcements. You have somebody in charge of the list. It's not impossible to do both. It is hard to do both at the same time. It's not a bad idea to have somebody who has some experience actually acting as the head list herald, who can actually work alongside with the list mistress or list master, okay, to make sure that announcements are made for the list properly. Okay, and this list master and list mistress, you should be working with them well in advance of the event. Contact them some time before. Again, the supplies you're going to be needing to do this type of job. Okay, again, you go to your notebooks and your pencils. The exceptional herald, they come with their parents' notebook. May not be necessary if they've worked it out with the list mistress, who may have books too, but if they don't, you should be prepared. Okay. Again, a volunteer sign-up sheet would be great for people who, to acknowledge the people who helped you out for this function. And again, if the group has money for heraldic sashes, see if you can convince them to actually pay for these, because just having people out there announce by themselves is nice, but having them in a herald sash, okay, makes it that much better. Okay, the person who's actually in charge of the entire list, I mean the head list herald, okay, they should find out how many fields they're going to be having, and they should try to arrange for one herald for each field. Okay? If there's multiple fields, okay, or if the term is long, okay, again, head list herald actually helps coordinate these. This again is one of the major stumbling blocks we have at events. We generally wait until the day of, and we hope to have certain people lined up to actually fill up the fields. Okay, a lot of this is based on the idea that people don't know exactly what type of lists they're going to have when an event starts off. As somebody who's going to organize list heraldry activities, you should walk people through what are the most probable things they're going to be doing. Are they going to be having a one single field? Okay, if so, fine, you're set with whatever number herald. Are they going to have multiple fields? 2, 4, 6, 37, whatever. If you do, you should have one herald for each of those fields. If you give people weeks enough to advance, they can easily take that time to touch base with as many people as they can who could act as herald. They could prime experienced heralds. They could even prime non-experienced heralds, letting them know, hey, I've got something going on. I'll need your help this one particular day. And I'll walk you through the process. Can you be there for me? The list heralds that you have are going to be in charge of giving 3 bits of information. They got to tell fighters who they're fighting. They have to let nobles and the audience know who's coming onto the field. And they have to tell the noble in the audience who've actually won it. Okay. To be able to accomplish this kind of thing, they've got to know how to pronounce names, okay, which I will get to just a little while. This second thing, this first thing, reminding list heralds that they're not list field marshals, is for me, it's a minor sticky point. Okay, maybe not minor, it's a major sticky point. These are 2 different jobs we're talking about. List heralds are in charge of making the announcements for the fights. Marshals are in charge of the safety of the fighters. These are 2 different jobs, and people shouldn't be trying to do these 2 different jobs at one time, trying to keep it straight. A properly executed event, properly planned event, okay, should be able to have enough people who can actually act as herald and can act as marshals. Okay. Also, to that end, list heralds should be up to speed on proper list field etiquette. In general, proper list field etiquette would involve knowing when you get to be on the field and when you have to get off that field. Okay. When you have a list going, the only people supposed to be on the field during combat are the marshals and the combatants. Okay. When the bout is over, a properly trained marshal knows to instruct the herald to come onto the field, because the herald should be on the field making their announcement, making an announcement of who's going to be coming out at that particular time, who's supposed to be preparing, and who's supposed to be armoring up. They should be on the field so that people know this is where you have to be. But they're not supposed to take that field unless the marshal says it's safe to come on. So this may be a point where if the marshals are too young and the heralds are too young, an experienced herald can explain to both parties, this is how it's supposed to be done. If you are in charge of the list, be prepared to help out your list heralds in matching names to faces and assisting with proper pronunciations. This is where you can get help from your list mistress. The really good ones will insist upon phonetic spellings of names that aren't that common. If there's one thing that scares list heralds, it's the possibility of mispronouncing names. However, young list heralds need to understand this is an inevitability. I personally created my SCA name with a little side thing that I expect people to butcher it to some extent. I don't have a problem with it. If I wanted to have a name that we easily pronounce, I would have come with something in English, but I didn't. I did something in Arabic, and I've got everything from properly pronounced with inflection to somebody looking at my name and saying, "Oh my God." In either case, I'm okay with it. Keep in mind, there are some people that will try to get picky about this, whether it be the fighter or whether it be people who on the side just want to interject and properly pronounce names, trying to expose the mistake. When this kind of thing happens, initially work with the list heralds and give them the impression it's not this big a deal. It really isn't. I would encourage anybody, if I'm anywhere near the fight or near site when this kind of thing is happening, if you'll point out the people who are pointing out people mispronunciations, please let me get involved. I love torturing individuals who try to point out other people's mistakes when it comes to mispronouncing names. Okay. No, I'm not going to hurt them. I'm going to make them do the job. Which, when people find out how easy it is to mispronounce names in the SCA, they'll stop getting on people's backs and causing them problems. But that's just me. Now, as for voice heraldry that you probably got a lot of presentation on today, the ceremonial heraldry, the job being master of ceremonies. Understand that if you are a herald in charge, you should be aware of what heraldic needs, what ceremonial heraldic needs are going to be necessary on the day of the event. It's amazing how this should be so obvious to everybody concerned, and yet so many people try to turn this into rocket science, try to turn this into something that, well, it should be easy, but we're going to sit there and make it difficult just because. Now, in terms of people who can actually do these, we have everybody who does ceremonial duties, from heralds at large to some baronial heralds, to specifically named heralds for barons, baronesses, crowns, crowns representatives. The fact is, if you've got a barony, most baronial heralds understand that they will make a determination as to who will be in charge of the ceremonial heraldic duties for whatever court. They may be personally involved with it, or they may be able to find a deputy, or maybe their excellencies will figure out who they want to actually do the job, which is fine. When it comes to the crown generally comes with somebody who's going to do the job, but if they don't, they're responsible for asking somebody to do the job. Having said that, you'll be amazed at how many crowns will decide almost at the last minute to actually ask somebody to actually put this kind of thing together. Part of it is nobody really accepting that it takes all that long to do it. Another part of it is it kind of just slipped their mind. If you're going to be involved in ceremonial heraldry, okay, except that you're going to need your notebooks and pencils, you should have a notebook of some sort. It would be really great to have a book stand. I've seen more local heralds using these lately. Having your hands free helps out tremendously. Also, it saves on your arms getting worn out holding up a book for a couple of hours. Okay. Every group should have a heraldic tabard. That's why I can put a little asterisk next to that one. If you do have, if you don't, in your local herald and your group does not have a heraldic tabard, make a suggestion and make them cough up the bucks. Okay, your group's got money. They should be able to create a heraldic tabard for you. I do suggest that you have some type of light source. Flashlights work great. I'd love to say candles, but too many cases people don't want to set sites on fire. You should have award report forms available, just so you have the thing that can be either mailed or scanned as soon as court is over. And if you can actually get copies of the charter scripts, I do suggest that you get that book, or at least get that pamphlet, something that actually has the entire script written out in letters you can easily read. The scrolls that people make to give out during events at court, they are great. They are done, the scribes do a fantastic job. Those flourishes can sometimes be difficult to read under certain conditions. You don't really want to bog court down by squinting or slowing down or stammering or completely messing up particular words when the texts of the particular charters are already available. You have to fight through absolutely original work. When somebody's actually written the script that's original, fine, live with that. But if we have something that's typically Ansteorra, where we actually have specific text for our charters, have the book that gives you this. This also helps out whenever the Crown does an impromptu, something that hasn't had a scroll created for it, because they just decided on the day of that they're going to give this particular award. They can do this. And instead of actually hoping that you have the charter text memorized, which is a great thing, but it isn't necessary. If you have the copies, you can read it and then you're good to go. When you are pre-planning a ceremony, this is where you get a list of the business that needs to be performed. You sit down with the people who are going to actually do the particular business. This may also be you announce to the populace that if you have particular business you want brought before their excellencies or their majesty, please bring it to us, at which case you can then present it to their majesties or their excellency and let them know, here's some things people want you to do. If you ever do that, let anybody who has not touched base with their majesties or their excellencies, let them know that it's going to be up to them as to whether to bring it into court. And if you're not called, sorry, you can't interrupt court for it. Like I said, make sure you have text for award or oaths that you might not know. If you have a group that actually has champions, make sure you have that list available. You will be amazed how often you have to call up particular people by their name who are present champions. Stepping back. If you get the names of people and they're kind of confusing, by all means, review the name for pronunciation. Once you have all of the business put together, make a plan to sit down with the landed noble or whoever's going to be involved in court. Carve out the time to have them go over what's going to take place in court. The really good landed nobles and crowns carve that time out. That's grateful. The not so good ones wait until 30 minutes before court or less. It's not completely up to you, but when you can have some say in it, that is, you can put the bug in their ear, my suggestion, give yourself a couple of hours beforehand. They're always going to change it up. You can accept that, but it's easier to make a change, 1 or 2 changes, when you've got the entire body of court, as opposed to trying to build the body on the fly. Once you have all those names, if you have your court report form, fill that thing out. Okay, you're gonna wait till court's over to get it signed, but hey, you've got to step up on most of the other heralds. The exceptional ceremonial herald, know who has the insignia, know who has the scrolls, so that you don't have to be too confused once court's been rolling as to who it's going to be coming from. The exceptional ceremonial herald, make sure that they've set tables, thrones, podiums, and decorations up that actually make the place look good. During court, you have your script, okay? When things begin changing, start making the adjustments, okay? If they've taken a particular award and they want to put it later on in court, make some type of note to let you know when you're going to bring it back in. Okay, stay in communication with your noble as to when they're going to actually do something with it. Also prepare if they've forgotten about something and they said they were going to be doing it. Remind them before court closes. Give them the option to just acknowledge it or to actually shut the court down, knowing that knowing what mistake they may have actually made. Okay, and then be prepared to actually assist providing nobles and the autocrat. Okay, and lastly, when events actually over, okay, be prepared to debrief the group after the event is over. Debrief in this case is take time to review all the voice heraldic activity. Things that worked, things that did not work. Things that made the event work out extremely well, and the things that could have been done that much better, so that the next time they do an event, okay, you can use all the positive things, make corrections on the negatives. Okay. And that is the body of what I have present for today. Let's see. I could look on the side and see if I've got any particular question, because at this particular point, that's what I've got going on at this point. That's most of what my presentation is about. Has anybody got any questions? Observations?
So when you were talking about the pairings notebooks, should those also include the text of the salutes?
That would be, if they, having seen what the list misters have, um, it's hard. That's going to be kind of hard. It would be great if we did have good ones that actually did give us those. And you're right, I have seen some. I've seen some where they put the various salutes in the front of the book so that you can flip back between, I've got my pairings, but let me sit there and actually review quickly, and what I have to say, and I can actually make sure have particular names. And you're right, knowing that they have to salute the presiding noble, salute the consort, salute whatever they know, and then salute their opponent before they exit the field. It would be great if they had that. Because most of our books don't have that, that's something you may have to go over with all of your list heralds, okay, before the day gets started. And because once you get it started, once you do the first couple, you're pretty much up to speed on how to keep up with that. Let's see, concurrent here, we've somehow pre-printed, pairing cards, yeah. The pre-printed, the pre-printed cards are a really great thing. I've seen it happening at most of our major events, crowns and Queen's Champions, where you have everything, including the phonetic spellings of the names, because they get the people who care to do that. It helps the heralds out so much. They're a lot more confident about doing the job when so much of what they're doing isn't, am I going to make a mistake, but more of a, oh, all I have to do is say this. Let's see. It helps visualize what they are, especially in court. Yeah. Okay, and I have somebody asking, insignia, are those tokens for awards? Yeah. It's most every award that we have, insignia is anything we get, the chivalric chain, my collar, those are the things that, you're actually, are signs of the awards you actually have. You notice the AOAs in our kingdom, they get that little simple band now, okay, that they wear on their head. That wasn't that, they didn't get it when I was first coming up. But no matter what the insignia is, it's a good idea if you're the ceremonial herald to have an idea who has this stuff, so that you know if something's coming up. Okay, we're about to give out this award. We're going to give out. I'll give another example. We're going to give out a centurion. Do we know who has the cloak for the centurion? Make sure their majesties understand. Somebody, they gotta have to ask that question. Somebody should have that already answered, because either they have it in hand or they have somebody who's going to actually bring it up. But somebody should have it available. Let's see. From Robin, is there a printed source of the information that you taught today? Can we get copies of your presentation? I have to figure out how to take my Google Doc and my slides and actually make that printable, because that'd be the easiest way for me to get it to everybody. Yeah, somebody will teach me how to do that. Always, oh yeah, from Kat, always check the OP. That's one of the most glorious things in recent memory. The fact that we can access the OP while we're at sites. When we have a question about somebody's name and how it's spelled, the fact is I can throw it in the OP, I can check it, I've got the correct spelling, and then I can just drop it onto my award report sheet. And then we don't get what we used to get years ago, which was 7 different spellings of the same name, all getting the award, some of whom get duplicated, as strange as that sounds, but that kind of thing happens, unfortunately. Let's see. So do I have any other question? Yeah, like you said, Donna, put that down there. I saw the question, is the charter script the same as the award text? Yes, it is. It's there with the big blanks. And I said, know ye that we blank Rex Regina Ansteorra, consideration diverse efforts to enrich our, but it has it written in plain text so you can actually read it. It's in the off chance that the crown was No, Crown was told was told, hey, this person needs an AOA, but they didn't get the thing in advance, be able to get a scroll already written out for them or charter. They can still read it. It then is still put in the law. You can get the charter in their hands later, but we can get the business taken care of now. Or a better example would be when Val and I were first, during our first reign, we elevated somebody to the laurel. It was the laurels decided on that day that they wanted the person actually elevated. They actually had a positive vote for them, and he was right there on site. So we didn't give him the regular full party, and we just announced him in court. When that happened, we had to read the text from the book, and then he could arrange to get everything later. Let's see. Okay. Let's see, you got new man. Oh, like my name? Yeah, Kat, like your name. I'd say, yeah, you get a name like that, and they don't do it phonetically, then yes, you deserve everything that happens to you. Okay, posting the link to my Google Drive. Okay, I'll kick that into account. Yeah, okay. Well, some of us can roll his name off without. Okay. You may, yeah. I know you're good, Thomas. I also know. Okay, I really wish I'd gotten the name of the young man. It was a Queens from 2 years ago. I haven't seen. He was new to us 2 years ago. New as in he had just come into our kingdom. It was like his third event, and he volunteered to actually be a list herald. Which is it's a great thing for somebody to volunteer to do. And he was at that time former military. He had served a couple of tours over in the Middle East. He came across my name. He looked at it for a couple seconds, and it just rolled out completely. It was phenomenal. It was how did he pull it off? And then he explains, of course, he's over in the Middle East. He learns Arabic. There's no real problem. Some people it's that easy. For the rest of us, it can be a struggle. Yeah, like I said, the primary reason behind, I'll be honest, for trying to put this class together, I was kind of blessed when I first came up as a herald. During my first year, we had a star principal herald who recognized a problem, that is not enough good ceremonial heralds. We had gotten to the practice of actually using a picked handful, as in actually that's being really picked with the handful. We had like 2 decent voice heralds at the time who could regularly do royal court. But our star principal herald realized we really weren't building any new heralds. So he made it a specific point during his tenure as star that he was going to insist that local heralds do royal court. Now, he let people know that in the Black Star. He also let people know once he actually got to an event and he was there. Now, he didn't leave people absolutely hanging. He walked everybody through the process. That is, about 1 or 2 o'clock on that particular day, you'd catch up with him. He'd have a notebook. He would explain to you how court business is established. He would sit down with their majesties. He would go through, what business of court was going to be taking place. Okay, and you were there with him while he got this thing set up. Then when court rolled, he's standing next to you, basically spoon feeding you every piece of business. All you had to do was project to the best of your ability. Now, yeah, for some people it was scary. The thing is, it was great to have somebody there at your side, highest level held in our kingdom, letting you know that you were not making any mistakes. Even when you did flub, you were not making any mistakes, because he insisted on the concept that you're the voice of the crown. Okay, the crown doesn't make mistakes. They make errors. They don't make mistakes. And if people try to correct you, um, he he had a fun way of touching base with the majesties to let their majesties know that when people interrupt the court doing that, it would be bad for them. Uh, yeah, if we touch base with a couple crowns every now and then, you can actually get the populace to understand that. We know that there are a handful of people in our kingdom who can interrupt court. They're called lions. But even lions take care of how many times they actually try to interrupt court. We have to get people out of the practice of actually interjecting things in the court as if they were like an audience at a theater or a theater or at a play. I mean, it sounds like it can be humorous. It can be massively distracting. I like that. So how is your name pronounced? Oh, it's really easy. al-Mahdi Jamal ibn Hakim. You say it like you spell it. I love people who get the little half syllable thing down correctly. Doesn't take all that much practice. Okay. So let's see. I think we've got, I think we only have, slowly, no, just slowly. Okay, that's the thing. It isn't pronounced slow. It has to be pronounced quickly. Okay, because if it's not pronounced, the reason I don't do it slowly is because that's why I have that weird pronunciation of my name right now, Mahdi. Because M-A-H-D-I is not Mahdi, but that's what everybody says, and I'm not going to club people over the head for spitting out something that I mispronounced when I first started playing. Okay, I was eventually told the correct way to pronounce it, so I do it fast. Smoothly. No, my name is not Mahdi. Some people will spell it out that way because it's the easiest way for Franks to actually do that. So fine, you let them do that. You can either decide that you're going to take exception to it, or you can laugh about it. Because let's face it, anybody created a name like this. Oh, thank you, Brian. Brian is technically actually correct. Yes, he is, because my name construction is honorific, given name, and then family name. The honorific is al-Mahdi. Okay, it's just that when I first came my name, I used Mahdi thing, and it's the reason why you have to tell submitters, be careful of what name you use when you first start off, because it will stick to you, no matter what. I did find it amusing though that nobody actually called me His Majesty Jamal when I was crowned. Nobody's crazy enough to do that.
A minute warning.
Okay, 10? Okay, that means I got to be off in about 4 minutes, actually, because we got to give everybody. Let's see. Well, here's hoping what I actually presented. Okay, I'm going to sit there and actually figure out what one person put down. Pointed sword, let's see, carrying, probably put, let's see, what was I saying? Yeah, she does. Yeah. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, she does that. She does that just to like mess with me a bit. Wait a minute. I was afraid of a lion interrupting me. First, Bruno court informed me that while a lion may enter court bidding, yes, it doesn't give permission to leave. Yes. What is Mahdi? Okay, Mahdi in Arabic is the Arabic equivalent to Messiah. Okay, so servant of the Messiah. Jamal, son of Hakim, would be the way the name would actually play out. I can thank Master Daoud Ibn Auda for helping me construct that name, because it is so much better than the first name that I came up with. And it's a name that, no, you can't sit there and actually see, because it is only on one, as far as I know, that bad name is only on one scroll, and I am in possession of that scroll. The only way you can see it is if you can get to my house, look at the wall, and see the badly constructed name. Outside of that one, all the rest of my name is just the way it's supposed to be. So what can we call you correctly? Again, I live among a bunch of Franks. When they take my name and turn it to Mahdi, I respond to it. That's it. I don't respond to Not Davius. He responds to